Hello my friends, we have the new update from the front lines. As you may see, new blue territories are being added to Pokrovsk direction. Let's go back to yesterday, and it is today. Well, there are multiple of the changes, I would say. Judging on those blue territories, it means that Ukraine is on counterattack in many of the places. Well, at the same time, Russians still keep positions in Kucherov Yar, but it is lowered than before. So yeah, yesterday, today, you see, they are trying to move here in this piece of land, but they are already been encircled by Ukrainian forces. As well as this part, you can see there are also some of the changes before Russians tried to advance towards northeast, but nothing went well for them. So Ukraine also counterattacked, got more territories, and now the question goes for this region, because before Russians actually tried to advance again from this place. They tried to move to Nikanorovka. Actually, they occupied Nikanorovka that was liberated before. Now Ukraine again counterattacks from Dorozhny. That's the small village, just few of the houses. Nevertheless, you can see Ukraine definitely destroyed this Russian attack attempt where they tried to break through Zoloty Kolodets. Also, Ukraine attempts to cope with this Russian attack from Poltavka. They moved, but Ukraine took control over the part of the lake and some of the small tree line, but it's the first sign of definitely Ukrainian counterstrike. Vladimirivka, well, I would put it to the gray zone for now, because a Russian presence at least 3 days ago, it was confirmed. For how long it was before Ukrainian drones kaputted all of the Russian armored vehicles, their motorcycles, well, I'm out of clue. Maybe Russians already vanished out there, been vanished by drones. And this map is presented by the Myco Center 3 analytic. He confirms that Ukraine attacks from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 directions. Well, Russia also attacks, and he puts Vladimirivka into the gray zone. So here's, I would say, more detailed analysis, but it only happened because of the failed Russian attack, where they lost multiple of the vehicles. It's been a while since Russia used that much vehicles on the front lines. It's something extraordinary. The last week was really full about those events. So this convoy I told you, and this is the parts of the same convoy. And not only vehicles were lost, also Russian motorcyclists and infantry forces. And let's go back for a while to Vladimirivka, the place of the Russian attack. As we know, they tried to offense using this bridge. Well, it is gone completely, and this bridge on the left, it is partially damaged. So for Russia, there is no way to advance to Shakhova using just infantry fighting vehicles or tanks. So what was the reason to use them in this case? I'm still out of clue. For Russia, there are only two ways to get to Shakhova. One from this part, which they still control, but supplies were cut. Well, it's the gray area, so they're being partially cut, but Russians still without supplies cannot reach Shakhova from the western side. That's why probably they might use this bridgehead which they created in Poltavka, but here Ukraine started the counterattack, and to reach Shakhova from this place, Russia will have to go through very difficult terrain. So Vladimirivka was indeed profitable, but the thing is that there are no bridges, so it's not profitable any longer. So in general, Ukraine has more of the tools to use in this direction, because Ukraine controls the outskirts of those bridgeheads. The pockets are being created, this big pocket, yeah, for the Russian side, as well as from the south, yeah, towards Razine, Novotoretsk. Ukraine tries actually to jam Russian forces little by little, not in a hurry, because this rush creates more losses. Just 10 days ago, Ukraine already tried to advance with some of the tanks and vehicles, but that offensive for Ukraine failed. Yeah, with less losses compared to the Russian side, but still there were some of the losses. And again, if we zoom into this place, you see how many of the icons are out there. It's not just a single vehicle, it's the group of the vehicles. So Russia lost them mostly in Vladimirivka and near this bridge. Also one more convoy. Maybe did I watch this one? Maybe I already reported, I'm not sure, because Russia sends lots and lots of the vehicles in this particular direction, not in any other place. But here they're sure that with the previous tactics of 2023, they're capable to reach some of the ground. But no, this operation is poorly planned. There was attempt to go here with the vehicles, attempt to go here from this place all around. Whoever is responsible for this piece of land, I mean Russian commander, is doing a very great job for Ukraine actually. Because for our drone operators, it's very easy to spot those vehicles and to kaput them on the way. Also guys, it's interesting, if you check out the southern area, Ukraine intensified the strikes on Russia using even some of the tactical attack airplanes. Wow, yeah, it's not that wonderful A-10. Sadly, Sukhoi 25 was used here. I wish Ukraine would obtain those A-10 airplanes. They're gonna retire anyways the next year. They dropped some of the aviation gliding bombs out there. Understandable. Sukhoi 25 is also used for this purpose. Yeah, judging on the scale, I would say that Ukraine is full in using drones and aviation bomb strikes. Even far behind the front lines, Russian positions are not being secured. Oh, we have one more counterattack, according to the Myco73 analytic, who receives the data from the front lines, analyzing drone cameras and judging on the information coming from commanders, military, and so on. Ukraine started the counterattack towards Malisher-Baki. That's the southern front line. I do not honestly think that it's the major Ukrainian counterstrike. No, it's the limited operation. Well, maybe also done to disturb the Russian attention from different points of the front lines, especially from Plavny village, which Russia occupied recently. And about this village of Stepnohirsk, well, even Gerasimov stated that it's the goal for the Russian army to advance here. However, Russia is not successful yet with Stepnohirsk. Well, it looks like our guys are already in Malisher-Baki. They posted this video with Ukrainian flags out there, and yeah, the building is destroyed, ruined. Either battalion with the 2nd Assault Brigade, yeah, kind of the interesting symbol they have. Well, they're out there. Yes, for today, the deep state gives us the information about the fluctuation of the front lines in this Pokrovsk-Dobropilya direction mostly. Oh, the Russian RIA Novosti published some of the photos from the front line. Yeah, the weather is a little nasty there and it's already cold. You can see those Russian bikers and destroyed Bukhanka. And this is the Ukrainian Kazakh MRAP vehicle that was hit many of the times, but still it saved the crew, I guess. And those are Russian MRAPs, yeah? This is Niva, at least it used to be. The road of hell, or the road to hell for Russians. This is one more Niva, by the way. This is Bukhanka, Standard Zhiguli. Crazy. That is how Russians are trying to protect supply lines. Ukraine, by the way, does the same stuff. But it's not possible to do it all across the front lines, especially very close to the zero line of the contact, because those guys will not be able to put those meshes to protect supplies. So there's the front part, which is very dangerous for every sort of the army, for Ukrainian or the Russian one. Here we see Bukhanka van and some of the web like spiders, yeah, out there. Yeah, one more supply line, and our guys, they're searching for the holes in this web. Also, they're looking for the entrance, and they go there and fly like in a tunnel, yeah, with FPV drones searching for the vehicles. There were some of the cases of how the drones hit the vehicles even inside those tunnels, and this is, on top is the electronic warfare. Here's one more web Russian operation, again, Niva probably, electronic warfare. Sometimes, or in most of the cases, it doesn't help. So what helps is the physical protection both against fiber optic drones and standard drones. Good. What is this, guys? This is the strike on Feodosia, Crimea. Once again, the same oil storage was hit, but the other part of it, different fuel tanks or oil tanks, is better to say, they ignited, and the fire continues there even now while I'm recording this video. Yeah, I guess that finally this facility was finished completely. The previous time it was burning for 6 days, something like that, and today's fire is even stronger. Yeah, whoa, that's a really huge one. Lots of I can see those tanks, you can see them too, so everything is burning. It will be destroyed, yeah, absolutely. So Russians will not be able to refuel their ships and so on. Yeah, this is the huge huge strike. Well, actually, yesterday I got some of the information about the Ukrainian drone operation in Crimea. Direction was not specified, but now we see it vividly. It's Feodosia oil port once again. Yeah, sorry, its oil storage mainly was used by the Russian Navy fleet. To some of the political news related to Ukraine and touching United States of America, as usual, yeah, Zelensky thanked to Donald Trump and Melania, First Lady of the United States of America, for rising up the question about kids which were kidnapped by the Russian Federation. Well, what we know that 7 of the kids were returned to Ukraine. That's at least something. It already was Melania Trump to say about it directly out loud to Putin, but Putin should return all of the kids back to Ukraine. And what's about Tomahawks? Well, Zelensky stated that they were speaking about it with Donald Trump. By the way, Zelensky and Donald Trump, they're speaking already for the second day consecutive, discussing the situation in Ukraine and the possible ways to support Ukraine. Tomahawk is one of those ways. And here the White House published some sort of the interview of Donald Trump on board of Air Force One. That's why the sound is not that good, but nevertheless, I ask you to listen to this message. It is 1 minute long.
They need Patriots very badly. They'd like to have Tomahawks. That's a step up. They'd like to have Tomahawks. We talked about that. And so we'll see. Well, I don't know. I might have to speak to Russia, to be honest with you, about Tomahawks. Do they want to have Tomahawks going in their direction? I don't think so. I think I might speak to Russia about that, in all fairness. I told that to President Zelensky because Tomahawks are a new step of aggression. Right? You understand that very well.
Are you saying that you will speak to Putin first about Tomahawks?
I might talk to him. I might say, look, if this war's not going to get settled, I'm going to send them Tomahawks. I may say that. The Tomahawk is an incredible weapon, very offensive weapon. And honestly, Russia does not need that. They don't need that. Yeah, I might tell them that if the war is not settled, that we may very well do it. We may not, but we may do it. I think it's appropriate to bring up. Yeah, I want to see the war settled. Thank you.
I guess you heard it. The Tomahawk missiles are under the big, huge question. Actually, I think that it's almost impossible with the current White House administration to receive Tomahawk missiles for Ukraine because Donald Trump, he didn't even implement sanctions on Russia, even tariffs. Yeah, he put 10% tariffs on Ukraine, but hesitated to put some of the tariffs on Russia, saying that Russia has already been sanctioned too much or a lot. And now what? He wants to speak with Putin about Tomahawk missiles delivered to Ukraine. Putin, I want to deliver Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. Are you against it or do you support this move? You know, well, here's the ultimatum for you. 2 weeks. I give you 2 weeks. Stop this war or Ukraine obtains those Tomahawk missiles. But history already showed us that Donald Trump always tackle with his ultimatums to Russia. 50 days, 10 days, 2 weeks, and so on. Especially when Witkov goes to Russia, everything is changing for Donald Trump. So now he speaks about the possible delivery of Tomahawk missiles, but tomorrow he might speak about something else and blame Ukraine for starting this war together with Biden. Plus, as we know, there is an issue with the ground launchers. I don't see the way for Ukraine to obtain the large number of those launchers. It's impossible. And Ukraine doesn't need 1 or 2 Tomahawks. No, Ukraine needs hundreds of them. Hundreds. Otherwise, there is no use or no sense in supplyment of those weapons to Ukraine. It should be used massively on Russian military infrastructure, while Zelensky already stated that Ukraine only is going to use those against military infrastructure. Well, in case of the Tomahawk supplements, United States will control each target. I'm sure about it, 100%. So Ukraine now has to wait this cooperation to have this really capable cruise missile, to push diplomacy to have this little chance to obtain those missiles, or to invest to its own project, like, for example, Flamingo, which is kind of vulnerable against the Russian air defense because missile is huge. Well, I think Ukraine should act in both of those directions, improving Flamingo Kaminga and also negotiating with Donald Trump about Tomahawks. But I'm almost sure that Donny will not supply those missiles. Well, if he supplies those, I will be really, really surprised. I would say the most surprised maybe in my entire life. It seems like Donald Trump lost his motivation to get into heaven. Let's listen to this.
You had talked a couple weeks ago, you were doing an interview, and you talked about how you hope to end the war in Ukraine because it might help you get into heaven. How does this help? Does this help?
I mean, I'm being a little cute. I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven. Okay, I really don't. I think I'm not maybe heaven bound. I may be in heaven right now as we fly in Air Force One. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make heaven, but
This is hilarious. Okay, so Donny knows that he's banned from heaven. He actually had the choice to be legible to go to heaven or to visit an Epstein Island. He chose the second one. Yeah, they mentioned Ukraine with this question. That's why it is here on the channel. But nevertheless, it's hilarious that he considers he's not longer valid for heaven. Some world news, actually the good news are coming from the Middle East. Looks like Hamas is going to return hostages to Israel, and Israel is going to return some of the Hamas members to Gaza Strip. Those are the parts of the new agreement according to the very latest information. By the time I'm recording this video again, 7 of the Israeli hostages were already sent to the Red Cross and soon will be transferred to Israeli side. Yeah, Israeli side is already waiting for them, those 7 people initially, but later on will be more. Israel also celebrate, what did they put here? Trump's face? Yeah. Trump's face here. Thank you. Oh my God. Well, if this exchange and the ceasefire organized by United States of America, it is definitely a step forward to de-escalate the situation in Gaza Strip. Israel will partially keep the part of the Gaza Strip under control. Well, Hamas, they thought that it's better, I guess, to negotiate because they were at the brink to be totally collapsed, so that's why they agreed on this deal. As I see, I'm not sure, but hope it's the beginning of the lasting peace in Middle East. As Zelensky said, even Hamas is willing to negotiate, but not the Russian Federation. And guys, please support the job that I do on Patreon or membership of this channel. The link for my Patreon is in the video description just below. That's how you make this content possible. But obviously, if you have this opportunity to support me and willing to support me, otherwise this content on the channel is free for everyone. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.